Hi, welcome to a conversation with Billy Selekane. Today I'm going to be spending time with a great man who is a poet, an author, a speaker, and a business consultant. His name is Confidence Seleme. Now, in the African idiomatic expression, we usually say that a name has got the power to either build or destroy you, and this man's name is Confidence. So this man was blessed from birth to be a confident person who will go out there, touch people's lives, and transform them. Hi, Confidence, welcome, how are you?
I'm well and yourself, sir. What an introduction. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. You know, I mean, offline, we spoke about something very profound.
Yes, sir.
We spoke about Tupac Shakur.
Tupac
because
Shakur.
you wrote, your first book was a poetry book.
Yeah.
Now, what influence did Tupac have on you?
You know what? I think each and every one of us needs somebody to look up to. There's a phrase I love where always send the elevator back down. And what that means is that whatever level of success you've achieved, you must always make sure there are others who will come after you. What is success without succession? It's not success at all.
Absolutely.
And when I read Tupac's book, The Rose That Grew From Concrete,
yeah,
I'd already begun my poetry journey as a writer. It inspired me because it liberated me. My writing up to then had been very, 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 very myopic in a sense, because, you know, at school you taught English poetry, very old school, very archaic type of poetry. And when I read Tupac, there was a freedom that he expressed in his writing that liberated me as well. And I said, you know what, I can write as freely as I want to write. And I started writing poetry, and I published my first book, which was a poetry book called When the Pen is Pregnant.
And what was your poetry about? What was the narrative about?
Life experiences. So the time I was writing poetry quite intensively was an interesting period in my life. I was a teenager. I was going through an addiction.
What addiction?
I was addicted to marijuana.
Mary J. Wana.
Mary J. Wana. But it was a phase in my life.
Of course, kids go through all this kind of stuff.
Exactly. And I was also exploring spirituality. Or who am I in terms of my spiritual life, you know. So I was going through a myriad of things, and what poetry did for me was give me a platform to express.
An outlet to
exactly.
the and the confusion. Yeah.
An outlet to express myself, an outlet that says, you know what, you're going through this, but you know, pressure can either burst a pipe or create a diamond. So the pressure that I was feeling in my life, I needed to release it so that I can become a better person, so that I can express myself and liberate myself in a way, because that's what my writing did for me, was liberate my thoughts, liberate my spirit, liberate my thinking. But that inspiration came from reading Tupac's The Rose That Grew From Concrete.
He's my man. Tupac has always been an inspiration, both from a poetic perspective and his music, because his music was very pure. I mean, I used to watch his documentary where he just got out of a limousine, rushed in and bought pencils.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to write. And it was
beautiful.
just amazing, because then he would sit there and just beautiful words would flow in, and he would just write.
Yeah.
And he would go into a studio and they can record it. It's amazing.
You know what? One of the things I always tell people I loved about Tupac, his prolificness.
Yeah.
Tupac's body of work, 5 years worth body of work, is equivalent to most rappers' careers. So an entire career, he was able to achieve in 5 years what most people are able to achieve in 20 years or 30 years of a career. So I respect that about him. And what that also inspired me, I see myself becoming a very prolific writer. I'm on my third book at the moment, and I see myself, the target I've set for myself is 100 books, minimum 100 books in this lifetime I have to write. But I realize that it's possible because of people like Tupac, because of other writers that I read, your Miles Monroes and all of those guys who are extremely prolific. And you know, we are born into this world pregnant.
Yeah.
And everything that we're pregnant with, we have to birth it.
Absolutely.
There's nothing that we should return to the grave with.
Great.
You know?
All right, now let's go. You know, now there's been a transition in your life from
Yes,
being
sir.
the guy that writes poetry from a perspective of anger and trying to find yourself.
Yes, sir.
And now suddenly you're writing books that are very powerful. So which one is the second, which one is the third?
This is my second book, A Confident Approach.
Okay. So it's like, you know, I'm confident, so I'm going to give you a confident approach.
Yes, sir.
And this one, it's young and living on purpose.
Yes,
now
sir.
let's talk about this one.
Yes.
Give me a synopsis of this book. What does it say? If I were to pick it up as a reader now, and I start from page 1, by the time I get to the last page, what could have happened to me?
When I was growing up, I was living contrary to money. I wasn't very confident in a lot of respects, and that because identity issues, some of the stuff that I was talking about. But then as I grew older, I realized that, everybody has innate power, innate talent, innate strength. And once you start developing your talents, and you start increasing your internal value, your value to yourself, your confidence grows. So I started saying, I've got these talents. I can write, I can speak, I can do a couple of things. Let me start developing those. And I said, through writing this book, it will also be a development of my own confidence. So me pouring myself into this book was saying, this is the message that I want to portray to the world. So when you read this book, it's about self-discovery.
Okay.
Because when you discover yourself, then you become the best you can be. A lot of times when you talk about confidence, we talk about surface level issues like your posture, you must project, you must smile.
Like people believe a suit makes a man. I said that the man makes
the suit. Exactly on point. So what I talk about there is the deeper issues. It's not merely about the fruits. Confidence is a fruit that a person produces, but before there is a fruit, there is roots. So what I tackle in here is the root issues. The first chapter is titled "Who Do You Think You Are?" And that talks about identity. What are the things that attribute your total summation of yourself? What are the things that contribute? This is Confidence Seleme. Who is that person? So we go into those issues of identity, issues of purpose. Do you know why you were born? Because once you know your purpose, your confidence levels will grow. So I talk about the root issues of a person, the things
I like it when you say, who are you? There's a Latin expression that says "temet no scare." It means know thyself.
Know thyself, beautiful.
So if you do not know who you are, how can you make an expression of what you're supposed to do to the world?
Exactly.
Because you're walking in darkness.
Exactly.
Powerful stuff.
Awesome, lovely. I love that. And when you know who you are, like we're saying, when you know who you are, it's easy to stand in front of people and express yourself. But when you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. So when you know who you are, that confidence comes to the fore, and you're able to express yourself in a way that people say, wow, they can sit back and say that person knows who they are. They are confident.
Now confidence, you're speaking about being confident. One of the things that I've realized, especially in the context of Africa and the way that we deal with the world, there's a little bit of a very thin line between confidence and arrogance.
Yes, sir.
And I have realized that unfortunately in some instances, we Africans feel that people that are confident are a little bit arrogant as well. Is that true? How does one become confident without necessarily looking arrogant?
There is a fine line between arrogance and confidence, but I also tackle it in the book. For me, how I describe it is that, one flower does not have to die in order for another to bloom. So a confident person will always be lifting people. An arrogant person will be crushing people. So they are similar, but it's in how you treat other people that tells us whether this is confidence or arrogance. Because on the outside, the person can have bravado, machismo. They can be very, very forward, and you don't know, is that arrogance or is that confidence? But if you want to judge it, look how he treats somebody maybe they don't need anything from. If they're belittling that person, know that person is not confident, they are arrogant. Okay. So they're very similar externally, but how you judge it is how do you treat other people. If you are confident, it's easy for you to lift up other people, encourage them. But if you are arrogant, your knee-jerk reaction will always be to demean others, because arrogance wants to enlarge itself above other people. Whereas confidence says, I will lift you.
Now, what you've said is very powerful, and unfortunately, you're a speaker, and I'm a speaker, and in the speaking industry, there's this very sad arrogance that's going around. A lot of speakers have got this God complex, they're better than other people. And it pains my heart because we don't do this for ourselves. This is a gift that we're given to give to other people. Now, the projection of this arrogance, what do you think is underlying?
I think arrogance is always a symptom of insecurity. So if you see an arrogant person, know that the underlying true emotion is insecurity. Absolutely. If you're insecure, you'll always have to be the loudest. You always have to be the person that is heard, the person that says, I'm the man, I'm the guy that you're supposed to listen to. But the underlying emotion or factor is insecurity.
It's the same thing with accents. These people that use very strange accents.
Yes.
I actually thought at some point in time there was a tablet that they give to these people
Yeah.
when they go to the and I said, can you guys buy me the tablet or steal it from me? Because I thought they had a tablet that makes them speak fun. But again,
yes, sir.
the accent thing, again, is just insecurity, because I don't understand how an African boy or an African girl suddenly twangs. And I mean, my mind, maybe I'm just too dumb. Maybe I'm too punchy. But I just don't get it.
Can I quote you?
Yes.
I was at a conference that you were speaking. It was a Speakers University, I think. It was 2 years back, and I think you mentioned something similar. You said, people go to America for a year. And they come back with a twang, hey man, speaking through the nose. But if the same person goes to China, when they come back, the accent is still African.
Still African. Why don't they come back from China and they speak like Chinese?
Exactly. But
it's kind of funny, man.
But it goes back to that thing, your identity. Yeah. If you know who you are, you don't have to change. You don't have to try and become somebody that you are not.
They say the worst thing that you can do with your life is to pretend to be who you're not.
Exactly.
Because then it's a very heavy burden to carry. Because you've got to consistently put on the facade, the show, the accent. And I wonder what happens when they get chased by dogs.
Yeah.
I'm sure the accent...
No, they revert back to the mother tongue. No.
All right, so this book, basically, it's a self-discovery book.
Yes,
that from this page to that page, if I go through this book, I will go through a personal transformation.
Exactly.
And I'll find who I am.
100%.
Then I like your second book.
Yes, sir.
Living on Purpose, Young and Living on Purpose.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about this one.
Young and Living on Purpose. This actually came from a dream. I was sleeping one night, and the thought or the dream that came to me, I said, write a book. I just finished my second book. The dream said, write a book for young people. I don't remember the specifics of the dream, but the dream said, write a book for young people. And I started looking at my material, because I also have a blog on News 24. And I looked back at my material, and there's an article that I'd written called Young and Living on Purpose. And people had reacted so well to that article. And I said, this is the nucleus, this is the seed that I'm going to build this book on. So it came from a dream, and within 6 months, the book was finished, which up to date was the quickest time that it had taken for me to write a book. So the book, in a sense, wrote itself, because I looked at material that I'd been sharing on various platforms. There's a website that I write for called Selekane. Selekane talks to youth. It's about youth events, youth stars, things that influence the youth on a popular level, popular culture. And I write motivational articles for them. And I looked at content that was there, and I said, I can take this, develop it, take what I've written. So everything that I've written that concerns young people, I said, I must gather all this material, expound on it, and then the book was born. But it was born. The initial thought was from a dream that I had that said, write a book for young people. I went and I discovered that the book was already there. For me, it was just to gather the material and put it.
They say dreams are the wings of our minds, and through them we can fly.
Wonderful.
And reach uncharted plateaus and places that we've never been in.
I love that.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and by the way, that the things that we dream most are the things that we're talking to ourselves in the deep subconscious. And when we relax in our brain, it's active, the subconscious begin to bring it back to you so that you can begin to get it. Most instances, there are beautiful things that happen in dreams, but because people are not conscious, they're not awake, they don't get it. Because people are very reactive in their lives. Instead of, sometimes, and I usually ask people, I say, what do you do the first thing in the morning? People say they take a bath or I take a shower and do this. I say, so that's what you do. You don't just wake up and be in your zone and begin to reconnect with what happened when you were sleeping. And just find some answers and say, what is it that I was thinking about? What dream did I have? Is it something that I can do? Is it a reality? And I think most people are not very proactive in their lives and constantly reactive. Oh, my phone, this and this and this. And I think it's powerful that in your dream, in your state of alpha, your brain was operating at a very amazing level. This book came to birth.
Yes,
now again, your audience for this book is young people.
Young people. And young people is a very, I don't know if generic is the word, but generic term, because you can be, I heard one speaker, some people die at 35 and we bury them at 70. So young is a very open term. There are people who are 70 years old and they're young. That's why even when in my dedication I say dedicated to the young and the young at heart, because I believe that if you are 70 years old but you still have a dream for your future. You are young because your dream will keep you young.
Now tell me about this thing. I don't know whether it's a myth or it's the truth. They say if you want to hide anything from a black person, put it in a book, they ain't going to find it. So these books that you've written, that you've spent so much time researching, that you've given so much wisdom and time,
yes, sir.
Are they reaching the right kind of people? Are people reading them? Are you getting a reaction? What is the story?
They are. I had that myth as well, and it's a myth. And I think as black authors as well, we have to write more so that our people can read more. Sometimes our people are not reading because the covers on the books, they don't see themselves in those covers because the content, they cannot relate to it. So as more black authors start writing, more black people will start reading.
You know what, it's funny because this book, my book, this is my first book. You know,
sir.
It became a bestseller,
Yes,
sold
sir.
over 50,000 copies.
Oh, wonderful.
And, you know, when I wrote it, my daughter was saying, oh, Dad, this is a black version, you know?
Yeah.
This is good enough for black people to read. Because if you become a little bit thicker, they ain't going to read your book. So I always laugh and say, and people always say to me, this book is old. I mean, I wrote this book in 2003 and we published it in 2004.
Yeah.
So I've not written a book in like 10 years. And everyone says, when is the next book? When is the next book?
Yeah.
Well, I wrote a book, sort of.
Yeah.
In 2014, but it was a book that I wrote with 17 other authors in the US.
Okay.
It's called Breaking Through. It is a version, it's a half a version of this, and 1 or 2, 3 nuggets that I put in there, and it became a bestseller on Amazon. Blah blah blah.
Wow.
We didn't launch it in South Africa. And people ask me why. I don't know even today why I didn't launch it. Maybe I will launch it because I always believe that, you know, like Quincy Jones says, what good is a song if it cannot inspire?
Exactly.
So I say to people, what good is it that you want to write a book that is not going to impact society and inspire people?
Exactly.
Confidence,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you very much for being with us.
Wonderful.
And we'll keep talking about these great books.
Awesome.
And we'll encourage people to go to your website
Yes.
to check you out so that indeed people can reclaim the essence of who they are,
Yes, sir.
why they were born, and that our young people can find direction by living their life on purpose.
Yes, sir.
It was an honor and a privilege to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. My pleasure.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Awesome.
This was me. Until we meet again next time, it's been an honor and a privilege. Thank you.